Welcome, Ligia, to our show Understanding Spirituality. You have been a great mentor and guide in my journey, and I'm totally honored to have you here.
Thank you.
So, thank you for saying yes to do this with me.
Thank you for inviting me, first of all.
It's all my pleasure. So, Ligia, what is spirituality for you?
Good question. For me, spirituality is life.
Hmm.
Is really life, and the living of what life you have. Life is not maybe what I don't know. Maybe most part of people think, right, that is this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Life is this.
No.
No, life is much more than that, of course. And for me, is that realization almost that life is not a frame of time, right? And we are in a frame of time and dimension and space, but life is much more than that. So for me, spirituality is that awareness of life.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I don't know.
No, it makes so much sense because we as humans we try to fit ourselves in this illusion which we are living in.
Yeah.
But actually the reality exists beyond this.
Beyond
when
that.
we kind of say that okay, we want to go ahead and see
Yeah.
what it is.
It's if you want to, I think is incredible because we tend to see separate parts, right? So for instance, you tend to see that a lot of people see themselves away from nature. Like nature is one thing and I'm the other. I'm another thing.
Yeah.
But also we tend to see ourselves now as different person than when we were like, I don't know, 2 years old.
Yeah.
And that makes us how do you say, sometimes to lose the awareness that basically we are the same. We are nature and we are still that child of 2 years old, right?
Wow. Yeah.
But we tend to see the differences. So if I can move, oh no, I'm not like a tree.
Yeah.
Because I can move. I said, no, you are still pretty much similar. And sometimes it's beautiful to see some images, for instance, of the veins of the tree, and it's exactly the same thing than the nervous system of a human being, right? So the same ramifications, and it's beautiful to understand that we are. I normally say we are a universe inside of a universe, but we are still a small universe, like a tree, like any other element of this reality that we know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Ligia, for explaining spirituality in a beautiful way. My next question is about the 4A principle, which I have derived from my own life. And I feel that a lot of people are awakening and they are having these shifts. So I would like to know from you the first A is the awareness. When did you get aware of this life, that it's not the reality? Where we live in, it's just an illusion and reality is out there. What was your moment?
I think since I was very young, I felt always very old.
You're an old soul.
Yeah, I always felt very old, to be truth. And even my hair, sometimes I use it as a metaphor. Like my hair was almost totally white when I was 16. But at the same time, me feeling old gave me always a lot of a kind of unhappiness that most part of the times people could not have. I will not call it happiness, I will call it joy. So I could, and I am still, I think a very sad person, in the sense of I can go to a deep sadness, but it's also not the sadness that most part of the times people do. For me, is the sadness of going back to the center. But I could also have a lot of joy, a joy that sometimes people could not grasp. And I didn't. Sometimes I didn't have really motive, let's say, for that joy. But I feel joy for being here.
Wow.
So I was very aware that I was here. That I was very aware that I chose to be here. So I was happy for that. I always felt a lot of joy for the possibility of being here. So yeah, I don't know if that could be the point. But but I think was always about that. Like I always had a lot of sensation that I don't. For instance, I don't have in my process, in my brain, for instance, the expressions of "I deserve to be here." For me, it's like doesn't really resonate. For me, it's like I decided, so I took that choice.
We all decided.
So
actually, that's so cute.
it's not that I deserve. I decided. So, and I remember that a lot of times I could not explain, or I could not even say it, like where this is coming from. But I really felt it very deep. Like this is it, and I know that this is it.
Wow.
So yeah, and I think also my people, let me put it this way, I don't know, they always gave me a lot of space
That's beautiful.
to
grow and to
be
explore.
and to so I never had I honestly don't have a lot of moments that I heard people, I don't know, criticizing or saying, "Oh, you are a little bit strange," or I don't have that type of experiences.
Wow.
If they said it, they didn't say it to me. So I don't have a lot of experiences with, honestly, people treating me or saying to me that I was strange, or no. I think I had a lot of people coming to me to speak and to be, but I never had a lot of people.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you had a very sacred container around you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lovely.
I don't, and sometimes I understand that, but I understand when people say that they didn't have that, they didn't have that.
Yeah.
And I feel compassion for that, because I can imagine that can be difficult and hard, right? But personally, I don't, and people around me were very willing also to hear what I had to say. I remember I was very small, and my father was going to he was going for a trip, and I remember that I woke up and said, "You cannot go. You cannot go, because you cannot go," and he didn't. Because I think I was so vivid on saying that my mama said, "It's better that you don't go."
So you had an intuition, or you received a vision?
I don't know. At that time, I was very small. At that time, I remember that I called it a dream.
Dream. Oh yeah, that's how we started.
I call it a dream. But so in a kind of a way, I always got my space.
Your space and support from the people, which is actually also very important.
Yeah. And I think that also makes. That doesn't mean that, of course, I still wanted to fit, and I still wanted to have my group of friends and have random conversations. What was not easy for me.
I can imagine.
It was not really easy. It was not the easiest thing. But even that, for instance, I still had the invitation.
Wow.
And sometimes I remember that I was going out with my friends when I was younger, like 14 or something like that, and I could be one entire afternoon without speaking.
Wow.
Because I didn't have anything to say in that type of.
That's the shift which you are going through, and people can't understand. It's just very personal to you.
Yeah, and also you don't have that type of conversation. I didn't have that type of conversations. So
I can feel you. I went through that transition.
I don't have so. But still, people will invite me.
Yeah.
What I really
they were curious to hear what you have to share.
Yeah, I really appreciate
and
that.
Your aura, your energy, everything around you changes.
Yeah.
So people are curious to know, what is this?
Yeah, and I still had a lot of. I still have. I really have a lot of friends.
Wow.
And even sometimes I think people didn't really get it, but they didn't reject it as well.
Yeah. But maybe they are. Yeah. How I see is that their higher self is always giving them information. Through you, they receive that information, so they want to hear that, but they are just not at that level to start their journey. But planting a seed is so important.
Yeah.
So that's why I believe that we should keep sharing this information, this knowledge, this wisdom among people.
Yeah.
Because we never know who's listening.
Yeah, and I, for instance, sometimes people, I realized not so long ago, that I have friends. I have a lot of friends with more than 30 years of friendship.
Wow.
I have friends since I was 2 years old.
Wow.
And they are still there.
Wow.
So I'm that type of person.
Wow.
I'm not the person that That's why I have a lot of friends, because
Yeah, yeah, of course.
so that also means something, right? That even that people they don't go away.
Yeah.
So and I didn't yeah, I know that I have good friends. I have friends for a long time, but one not so long ago I was talking with another person, and I was saying that I said, oh, I'm going to meet this friend. We know each other for 30 years, and it's like, wow. And I said, oh, but I have many friends like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? How many you have? And I started like counting, and I must say that I have more than 15
Wow.
friends.
Such a blessing.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah.
That's really nice. How did I achieve that?
I have a lot of friends like that. So that's I think that also says something about the, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes this duality of, are really people are really rejecting, or we put ourselves out. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I think we also put ourselves a little bit out,
Cool.
because we get, I don't know, fear sometimes that we are going to say and people don't understand. But I never felt that fully that need. So I will still go. And that made me have this amount of good friends, and and all this life as well. Yeah.
Wow. That was so interesting, Ligia. Thank you for sharing.
Welcome.
Yeah, so I would like to understand. So you were aware, and you were aware since childhood, and the
Yeah.
people around you were supporting you
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
How did you acknowledge this and bring it into more? How did you more embody it?
Yeah. I realized that I had a different connection when I was, I think, 7 years old, and one cousin of my mom died, and we were very close, even if he was a little bit older. But he was the type of people that was playing guitar, so he will come and he will play guitar for us, and he was a funny guy. And I remember that my mom, of course, I was so small that my mom decided not to take me to the funeral. And I remember that time that I got really upset for that, and I said, why I was not there? And she said, oh, Ligia, come on, it's not a place maybe for you. And I said, Mom, I know Beth.
Yeah.
And my mom, I remember that she said to me, oh, don't say that type of things. And I said, no, but I know Beth.
Wow.
And she said to me, what do you mean by that? And I said, I know what is that all about. And I think at that moment was a very young recognition, like, okay, I know this. I could not put it in words.
Wow.
And then along the way, I had other moments. But then when my grandfather passed away, he passed away in the hospital. And during the night, and then the next day, of course, I received the news, and my mom was with him. Was not our father, but she was there with him. And then I don't know, it was not immediately the next day, but like, I don't know, 2 days or whatever after. I asked my mom, and I said, Mom, what time was it?
Okay.
And my mom said, why? And I said, because I think I know what time was it.
Oh.
And my mom said, okay, so you say it. And so you say it. And I said, okay, it was 5:55. And she said, that was exactly the time.
Oh.
How do you know? And I said, oh, because I woke up on my balcony. At the time I was living by myself because I was already in university. I was 19. And I said, because I woke up in my balcony and Grandpa was talking to me. And he was saying, hey, I'm coming back. We need to talk. And then I woke up because it was wind. And then I went to my room and I saw the clock. And she said, wow, that was exactly the time that, because he had a very calm traveling. And then I realized, okay,
that was the stamp from
yeah, let's accept that maybe this is going to happen more. Yeah, so that's was the moment I was.
So you acknowledged and you also accepted at the same time,
Yeah.
but it was like quick.
Yeah,
You didn't give it time.
I think I didn't need to accept it because honestly, I always knew.
It was a knowing.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
okay, now is here.
It's here.
I'm not going to,
Yeah.
let's say, pretend that it's not here
Yeah.
anymore or whatever.
Wow.
Because I think I always, so acceptance for me was, yeah, I think I didn't need to accept. I think it was more this idea or this notion of, when you have a puzzle and the pieces
come
get together,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, okay, makes all the sense in
Makes
the world.
sense. Yeah. Wow,
So that's
wonderful.
that's
Wow. Yeah. So, Ligia, what action did you take after this realization?
yeah. One of the things that I realize as well is that the let me put it this way, the mission that I got is this translation, so is being, if I think is, if you have the capacity of being in between worlds, you need to support the communication between the worlds. So and that I think was what I did. I end up it's a nice experience, but I end up in the corporate world, and I end up doing a job there.
9 to 5,
And the thing is that, for instance, even there, until today, the people that I work with, and I'm not in that company for now, I don't know, 16 years or something like that, they still reach out. I still have friends there, and they still reach out. So I think I made that as as almost like I think a mission. Let's say it like that, like this translation between worlds.
That's beautiful. Translate between worlds.
Yeah.
I like it.
And sometimes it's between dimensions, words in terms of dimensions. Sometimes it's between the spiritual and the corporate world, because they are all one.
They're all one.
But people, again, they tend to see things in compartments, right?
Yeah.
So my I'm always doing that. I'm always like, bringing and taking and bringing and taking and making things vivid. So that's what I did, and I did it in several different ways. I did it with work. I did it with my own life. So I experiment a lot of stuff. I do a lot of different things, not only professional, but I like arts. I do some things there. So I always did a little bit of things, and I think that is also to for me to feel life, to feel like, okay, I'm here and I'm going to take joy from all the parts that is me, right? So I that's what I did, and that's still what I do.
So how did the NLP happen? How did this beautiful modality came into your life?
Yeah, so I'm a philosopher, right? Was I in university I already got some ideas about what will be NLP, but then NLP came again as a part that, because NLP like, I don't know, when I did my first course 15 years ago, came as very scientific and a thing that you find the way that people think, and so came a lot with that,
a lot of research,
came a little bit like that, and I was like, oh, okay, so I that was another world, let me put it this way, right? And I said, okay, I want to know that world combined with my philosopher mindset of being abstract and just exploring the questions. So it was my first course in NLP, so the practitioner, was a huge experience for all of us, I think. Not only for me, but for the trainer, for the people that were with me, because I think I brought also that, like, okay,
bridging the gap between and also I feel like your mind was also very curious. How can I just fix these two puzzles together?
And even today, so like I work together with John Grinder, one of the co-founders, and sometimes he says, wow, you connect dots that, okay, how do you do that? But I think it's because of that, because I'm so used to travel in different realities and different dimensions and different stuff and different knowledges, that I create connections that let me put it this way, it's not that other people cannot do it, of course, but it's more like I'm willing to do them, and I'm not scared of doing them. So NLP came as, okay, another curiosity, first of all, and second, as, okay, this language scientific or whatever, or the studies, because NLP is not a
Yeah.
science, but this idea of the studies and the years that they work together, I think that came as another language that I wanted to learn,
Wow.
another world.
Another world.
Yeah.
I think you also got the vocabulary from that.
Yeah.
You know,
Of
that's
course.
also so important that
Yeah.
you know, making sense out of it and able to express that to
Yeah.
to the people who
Yeah.
are seeking for it.
Yeah, and I think that also gave me the possibility of a lot of times translate again what a lot of, because I have a lot of people saying, oh, but I feel the same.
Yeah.
And they cannot put it in words,
Yeah.
in an expression.
Yeah, I mean, there's short vocabulary in this part
Yeah.
of the world, actually.
Yeah, and then I NLP gave me that as well.
Yeah.
The possibility of okay, what is this all about, and how can I structure whatever is happening in a way, and that makes more, of course, more easy to explain.
Yeah.
Because you have the mental structure for it.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Can you explain a little bit about, for the audience, what is NLP?
That is a question that I get a lot.
Yeah.
NLP is communication. And I know that sometimes people want a more fancy and elaborated answer, but NLP is basically communication. So NLP is the study of that process, the process of internal and external communication. So how do you receive, how do you deal, and how do you use information that you get from several different places. So that internal communication, so the communication between you and the world, right, is done with you, first of all, right? So that is the first step for the communication. How do you communicate with yourself, considering your relationship with the world, because you are in the world, right? So NLP does that. NLP offers that structure.
That's beautiful. And how do you translate it in your work? Like, how do you offer this for the people?
The NLP?
Yeah, the NLP.
I'm always using it, first of all.
I know you're using it right now also.
I'm also using it. I think it's so already implemented that it's very difficult.
You have embodied
NLP.
NLP.
It's very difficult for me to... I remember yesterday happened a funny thing, because I was doing a course and someone was asking me, but can you give an example when that doesn't happen? And I go like, oh my God, it's so difficult even for me to do it, because my mind just cannot go there anymore. So I do, basically it can be in a very formal way, like a course, for instance.
Like how I did it was like a 5-day course, a proper certification.
7-day course. Can be with coaching, so then you don't learn NLP, but you use NLP, for instance, in coaching. So use some techniques with a coachee to achieve transformation. But basically I use it in all my life, with my kids, with myself. So that's is a structure, because what happens is that NLP is always there. NLP is not a tool.
Yeah, it's a communication actually. So
we are always doing it,
either with ourselves or with the people outside.
And I have some people saying, but why do you need to learn NLP? No, you don't need to learn NLP. You need to learn the structure, because then you realize what you're doing. Because you are already doing it. So better that you are doing it, something that serves you.
Correct.
Right? So it's not that you need to learn NLP. You need to recognize the process and what is happening, and then you get, okay, I want to use the process for a better life, or a better sensation, or a better feeling for myself, first of all. So that sometimes people don't realize that they are already doing NLP.
I did NLP. You can't did NLP.
You cannot do NLP.
You can't do NLP.
No, you just in a course, for instance, you learn the structure. You give names to things. That sometimes people like, I don't know what this is. Say, okay, we have a name for that. But you are always doing it. It's not that you need to learn it.
Wow.
In that sense.
Yeah, this is very interesting what you just shared about NLP. I would like to say that my journey started with NLP as well. I wasn't like spiritual or anything like that. But when I came to you in that session, that 7-day course, I realized that it's me. I could just touch base with myself. And there are a lot of people who are awakening, or in a way they are going through a burnout. They don't know where to go and how to take help. And I'm sure like NLP can benefit so much. you know.
Yeah.
So can you just share how can people contact you or come to you, and what to expect when they come for a session?
Yeah. I do it in different ways, and sometimes it's really incredible because people come. For instance, a lot of people come
Yeah.
with work issues.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
my boss is this, I feel that, whatever.
Yeah.
And then when we really go to the okay, what is really going on? Okay. Then we realize that it's most part of the times, if not always, nothing to do with that. But is the emotional state that the person is in, or is the beliefs that the person has about something, and even sometimes happens that what I call the natural body system is shifting. And I think sometimes we are not aware of that. The body also shifts, and it doesn't produce the same biochemical, and so we change. And I think a lot of times people are tending to maintain, like, yeah, this is me, and I'm like, no, you are not always that. You change. So it's pretty normal that if you keep yourself blocked in a place that you think you are when you are 30, for instance, imagine when you get to your 40s, you're going to feel lost.
Correct. And that's what happens
So
at that age.
Yeah,
And
a lot
so
of people
many
are
of
like,
us
oh,
are
what is
going through
happening?
that
What is
phase.
happening
Yeah.
here? Because I think people are trying to maintain
Yeah.
what is not to maintain,
Yeah.
what is to shift, what is to change,
To
what
let
is
go.
to let go sometimes.
Yeah.
And I see that, and you see that so much. People trying to maintain things that I go like, why are you trying to maintain that? Even sometimes I do also, for instance, family coaching. So I coach the full family at the same time. And I think sometimes, the other day I had a family with a kid of 16 years old.
Yeah.
And I looked to and discussions, the boy was even threatening to leave the house and disappearing, he was saying. And I looked to the parents and say, hey, you are not parents anymore. Your need of educating your child is over. It's done.
Yeah,
you did your job.
Space. Yeah.
Now it's time to be the placator. Now it's time to receive the impact of your child and deal with that, because you are the adult.
Yeah, and that's so difficult for parents.
It's so difficult. And difficult for myself. I have a 16 years old as well, and sometimes I need to say, "Oh, Ligia," when she goes out to with his friends, and I still stay awake, like that kind of things. So even with that, with the simple things in life, we tend to maintain things that I go like, no, follow the dynamic. And with the work is the same thing, with relationships, partnerships, romantic relationships is the same.
Even with health relationship,
So we shift, we change, we move, we grow. And so when someone comes to me, what I do, I normally say, first, we are going to do a scan. Like, what is going on? What is going on? And we are going to detect where are the gaps. Is it as an emotional gap? Like, I want to feel like this, but I feel like that. So we have a gap. Or I would like to be doing this, but I'm doing this. Another gap.
There's a gap.
Or I think like this, but I would like to think like that. Or even sometimes the body. Like, my body is doing this, but I want my body to do that.
Something else.
So depends where is the gap. And sometimes the gap is full way. Is body, is mental, is emotional, is the behavior, because this is a cycle. If I'm not good in my body, you know that sooner or later it's going to escalate. So what we do is like, okay, where is the gap? And then, depending on where is the gap, we are going to step in the gap and saying, okay, what do you need? And sometimes we need to clean up.
Wow. Yeah, of course.
To clean up beliefs, to clean up habits, to clean up emotional states, to clean up memories that disturb us, like the traumas. So we need to clean up first. Then we say, okay, now that you are clean, what do you want? What do you want to put in this empty space? And then it's time to build and organize. Right? And then it's time to enjoy.
Yeah, of course. It's very interesting because a lot of people ask that, what is limiting belief? What is trauma? And what are these patterns? These three questions, they keep coming, even in my readings. So what is your understanding of let's say limiting belief?
A limiting belief is something that I have
Mm-hmm.
that creates a chain. So if I believe in something, I behave in a certain way
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't support
Mm.
what I want right now.
Mm.
I'm going to give you an example. The other day I was talking with an entrepreneur,
Mm.
okay, and I do mentoring with some entrepreneurs, and one of the things that I was saying is to her is like, why are you so? Because she has great ideas. She, if you hear her talk, like, wow,
Yeah.
this type of person. But then when she goes to execute, she does it halfway. You know, this type of person that has great ideas, but they're like, oh, maybe that is too much. I do it halfway.
Yeah.
And I said, why are you doing this halfway?
Mm.
And we explore that, like, where this is coming from.
Yeah.
And then we realized, she realized, she was the one saying it, that her father always said something more or less like this: if you have it, you don't need to show it.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
this kind of things, like, if you have knowledge, you don't need to be going around showing off. If you have money, you don't need to go around showing it off.
Yeah.
If you have a happy family, you don't go around showing off no, you just enjoy it, but you don't need to show it
Keep
off.
it safe.
Keep it, exactly. So that is a limiting belief.
Wow.
She still believes in that. Like, I have it, I have the idea, but
yeah, it was her conditioning.
yes,
Yes. From her parents.
yes. So a thing that is nothing to do with a parent or as well as a business, but she had that limiting belief that I don't need to show off. I don't need to show up as well so big. I don't need to do things so big because people already know what I do.
Or they don't need to know what I do.
Yeah. So that's
Can be
an
anything,
example.
yeah.
Can be anything.
Wow.
But that is an example.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
A trauma is a trigger. It's a trigger like any other. But it's let's say an intensity that is creating also things that we don't want. Trauma can be a lot of things. So I don't want to specify because so is this.
Yeah, no. They can be small traumas, they can be big trauma, depending on how much you are getting triggered. That's from that deeper layer that trauma is.
And a trauma just means that you have a trigger that has an intensity that is not, let's say, recognizable. Imagine if someone touched my arm like this, I get a trigger that is not corresponding to this touch.
Yeah.
So my reaction is bigger, much bigger than the impact of this touch.
Yeah.
That is a trauma.
Yeah.
And it can be anything. Can be a touch, can be a word, can be a sound, can be whatever. So, but that means that is you provoke and you have a reaction that is out of proportion for what just happened. So that is a traumatic thing.
That's why I say that this trauma is coming. A traumatic event happened in my life. Yeah. Makes sense actually.
Yeah.
And the patterns.
It's just habits. It's things that you do in automatic pilot. You just do, and then sometimes you go like, why I did this again?
Yeah. And we keep manifesting those patterns.
Yeah.
It just get part of our DNA or something. I feel.
And you just repeat. It's just a habit.
Yeah.
A pattern is a habit. It's something that you repeat, and a pattern can be a mental pattern. So a thought that always comes, a mental process that you always create. Like, if someone says this to me, I always start thinking, if that happens to me.
Yeah.
That is a pattern, a mental pattern, right? Can be an emotional. So you know people that they are so used to, for instance, be angry that they are going always like this with the face like this, and it's like, what happened? Nothing.
They're just like that.
Just like that. Or the opposite, people that are always smiling.
Yeah. That's also hard.
That is also hard. But all can be a behavioral pattern. So that's something that you do, and you realize like, oh my God, I'm doing that again. And it's like, why I'm doing this again? I know that doesn't work. So you just
I deal a lot with these things, and I'm like, I know. I know this is not serving in my highest good, and I have to release it. But releasing is also so painful.
Yeah, because you need to get first the point of, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Right. Before you just did it.
Any
right?
action. And I think that's where the mentors, the coaches, these readings, all these help, because you have a space holder.
Yes.
While you're releasing, these people make it easy for you.
And you cannot imagine the number of people that I said, do you realize that you just said, I don't know, 5 times the word okay. And it's like, no, I didn't. So yes, you did. No, I didn't. So people
Oh, they don't even
they
realize.
don't even realize. And I said, okay, so the next time that you do that, I'm going to call your attention.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they
Okay.
just did it. So, or for instance, sometimes, and this is a thing that an example that I always show, because I have a lot of people, of course, with coaching, that they come and they say, oh, my problem is this, whatever that is, and we start talking, and the nonverbal shows me a different thing. They show me, like, for instance, I speak about, I don't know, they are saying, oh, my problem is work or whatever, and then I start talking about the family or the kids or whatever, and then I see the shift, and I go like, are you really sure that this is the problem?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's easier.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give an example. I had a person that came to me for work, and she was coming because she was working too much.
Okay.
And she was not able to say no, and she was not able to stop that.
Yeah.
So it was really difficult for her to let go and say, okay, I'm going to close my computer and I'm going to not worry. So we start digging, and I gave her some tasks, because that is also part of the process of coaching. You give things for people to test, to do, to try, to experiment. And I realized after 2 times that she was not really into the tasks. And I'm like, okay, why you are not so interested in solving this, let me put it this way. And then I started exploring another part of her life, that was the family and the kids, and went to a moment that I said to her, okay, I'm going to be tough now. So be ready, because I'm going
Like,
direct.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, okay. And I said, okay, how much do you like to be a mom? And she looked at me and like, and you already see her body like, what do I do with this question? And I said, tell me, what is your thoughts about this? And she said, no, it's like, I like to be a mom, but I don't like to be the mom that I think that I need to be. I don't, for instance, Ligia, I don't like to play with my kids. I like to give them ideas, how you can play this or that, but I don't like to play with them. And I said, okay, let me ask you one thing. How many times do you use work as an excuse to not play with your kids? And then she looked at me and said, I always do that.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing that I use to not play with my kids is mama needs to work.
Yeah.
And I said, why you do that? I said, because I don't want my kids to think that I don't like to play with them, but you don't. And she said, yeah, but I don't want my kids to tell my kids that I don't like to play with them. I said, why not? Because I don't want them to think that I don't like them. Okay, why do you associate playing with liking?
That's interesting.
And this is the game. And of course, we explore a lot of things there about our own idea of childhood, our own idea of our mom, and how that felt loved.
What her relationship was with her mother,
and how she got love from her mom. So that is how things can go.
Yeah, this is a beautiful example, actually.
Yeah.
You know.
So sometimes one of the things that John Grinder says is that the problem that people say normally is not the problem.
It's coming from the back.
Exactly.
You have to go back and back and back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because the problem that people are sharing normally is the logical thing, that makes sense, that if you say everyone will understand.
At least their mind understands that, because they are not used to go deeper. So it's a very interesting thing what you mentioned in between was when this girl came to you and then you were discussing with her and you went back and then the layers were opening. So how did you do that? Can you tell a little bit, like in a short, that procedure?
It's a very personal characteristic of mine. I'm very hypnotic. I tell a lot of stories. I'm a very, and I like hypnosis. So also, so I normally tend to put people in that field. I don't go, not always for a deep hypnosis or a trance state, but I tend to create that place that people feel, okay, I cannot hide myself here. And even sometimes I feel, well, I don't need to.
So, I know, because when I did training with you, it wasn't like a deep hypnosis that we are just lying down. It was like we're just standing and we were like in that trance state.
So it's a place that people feel I can rest here, I can be myself, and also I think everyone feels like I'm not there to judge.
No, that's
I'm not there. I'm not doing my job to say this is right or this is wrong. I have 25 years of experience. I know that
Wow.
what looks wrong sometimes is the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not there for that.
Yeah.
I'm there to support.
Mm.
I'm there to bring the best that people want.
Yeah.
So and I think people feel that.
Yeah. Of course. That's a
So-
vibration, right?
Yeah,
Whatever you're vibrating, and people
Yeah.
will take that energy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I do it. I
Wow.
tend to say, hey, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. And people just relax.
Wow.
Just they stop a little bit of the acting.
They get comfortable, and then they start
Yeah.
opening up,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then gradually they are like, okay,
Yeah.
their heart opens.
Yeah, and they also know that again we are there for them, right? It's not for me. I have my own life.
Yeah.
I'm pretty satisfied.
Yeah.
And when I'm not, I also look for some tools. But so I'm not. We are not there for nothing more than them.
Yeah.
So I think that also is like, hey,
Yeah.
what do you want? And it's whatever you want. It's fine for me.
Wow.
Of course, if it's ecological.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't tell me that you want to kill people around, because that I will not avoid.
Yeah.
But if it's ecological for
Makes
yourself and
Yeah.
for the rest of people around you,
Yeah. Yeah.
for
Why
me,
not?
for me,
Yeah.
it's okay.
That's beautiful. Wow. We went on a trip. Thank you so much,
You're
Ligia,
welcome.
for your beautiful wisdom sharing with all of us.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Wow, what a beautiful ride with you, Ligia. We are just like, in the flow. And to continue the flow, I would like to understand that what is your, what do you want to share with the world? What do you want to give a message to the world out there?
Yeah. My main message is never give up on love.
Beautiful.
That is my main message. I know that sometimes can feel hard. I know that sometimes can feel even that life is against us.
Yeah.
But never give up on love. And that is not even sometimes the expression of love. If you have that, amazing.
Yeah.
But believe that you are love.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wow.
And yeah, that's the main thing. Even if everything looks like against, imagine. I would say that never give up on the idea that you are love, and that love supports anything. So you don't need to fight with life. You don't need to fight sometimes even with a disease. You don't need to fight that, because you are in that love.
Powerful. That's very powerful.
Yeah. So life is not to be a war.
We complicate it so much.
Yeah, and we get highly demanding with ourselves sometimes, right? And that sometimes that hurts me when I see people, for instance, talking about I'm fighting cancer, or I'm fighting this disease, or I'm like, don't fight. Why you are fighting?
That's the energy you're giving in. So imagine what will
Don't
you get in
fight.
back.
Don't fight. Life is not to be a fight. Life is love. You, all of us, we are acts of love, right?
Yeah.
So that's my main message.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ligia.
You're welcome.
Hello, beautiful souls. This is me, Neha, and welcome to my talk show, Understanding Spirituality. I'm here in Amsterdam shooting with Ligia Koijen, and this is the moment to meet her. Welcome her.
Hello.
Thank you so much, Ligia,
welcome.
for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.